Welcome to the Wisdom That Breathes channel. Across all our platforms, we try to share wisdom which is relevant and accessible to everyone. But on this particular platform, we go deeper into some of the ancient principles found within the scriptures. If you find some of the terminology difficult or inaccessible, then go over to our Keshava Swami YouTube channel where you'll be able to find other content which is perhaps more relatable. Thank you and enjoy the wisdom that breathes.
Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jai Giri Varadhari Jai Giri Varadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jai Giri Varadhari Jai Giri Varadhari. Everybody. Jaya Yasoda Nandana Jai Braja Jana Ranjana Jai Braja Jana Ranjana Jaya Yasoda Nandana Jai Braja Jana Ranjana Jai Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Jagannath, Jagannath, Baladev Jai Subhadra. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Second day of the Rise Retreat, Srimad Bhagavatam class. And thank you, Keshav Maharaj, for a generous introduction and wonderful organization of this retreat. Even from an organizational point of view, when I look at it, having organized so many Kartik Yatras, you really reached a very high standard and it can only go up further. Congratulations. Vrindavan, where Krishna is conquered. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes Premurasa Niryasa Korite Aswadan Ragamargaloke Bhakti Korite Pracharan. Krishna appears in Vrindavan to taste love and to teach love. Yatra Naisarga Durvaira Sahasan Nrimrigadaya Mitrani Iva Ajitavasa Drutarut Tarshakadikam. Brahmaji, while describing Vrindavan, says, what is Vrindavan? Yatra, where Naisarga, naturally, Durvairaha. Sarga means to manifest, to be born. Naisarga means naturally born. Vrindavan is that place where naturally there is Durvairaha, no enmity, no envy, no ill feelings, no competition, only cooperation, collaboration, camaraderie. Sahasan Nr Mrigadaya. Even amongst Nr, human beings, Mriga, and other animals. Very important point. As long as we agree, it is easy to have close, cordial relations. But when we are faced with different personalities, different natures, different opinions, can that harmony still exist? Yes. Mitrani iva ajitavasa. And they live together as if they are the best of friends, keeping Krishna and Krishna's will and Krishna's desire and Krishna's feelings in the center of their reciprocation. Druta, Rut, Tarshakadikam. And thus, Vrindavan is a place where there is no experience of hunger, thirst, or any other physical discomfort. Brahmaji also makes a point that there are no renunciants in terms of ashram in Vrindavan, sannyasis or brahmacharis. They are all grahasthas in Vrindavan. Gopas and gopis, all families engaged in household activities. Yavat ragadayastenaha, yavat kara griham griham, yavat moham grinigado, tavat Krishna nate janaha. And he says, well, India has 650,000 villages. But what makes Vrindavan as a village special? Because every member of the family in Vrindavan keeps Krishna as the center. Raga adaya stenaha. If Krishna's priority is not topmost within our heart, then our attachments act as thieves and steal away our discrimination. Yavat kara griham griham. And if Krishna is not the center of our home becomes kara griham. Kara griham means a house which has become like a jail. In Sanskrit, kara griham means jail, prison. It's not Karagraham doesn't mean graham with a car parked outside. Karagraham graham. Yavat mohongri nigadu. And in such a situation, when one starts having the illusion that I am the center of this home, that will act as shackles. Nigado means heavy shackles around your legs. Tavat Krishna nattejanaha. So that's the beauty of Braj, that typically in the material world, for the conditioned soul, ahara, nidra, bhay, maithun, towards one's own self is the topmost priority. But in Brajabhumi, Vrindavan, all the Brajavasis are keeping Krishna's interests in the center. What is the meaning of the word Vraja? Vraja means movement. What movement are we talking about? Krishna's desires, will, thoughts, opinions, plans, projects are constantly moving. Krishna is dynamic. The devotees who respond to Krishna's will and they move their own plans, their own will, their own desires to align with Krishna's will. To the extent one is able to do that as quickly as possible and as seamlessly as possible, to be perfectly aligned with Krishna's will. To that extent, they are closer to Krishna, dearer to Krishna, and get the power to capture Krishna. And therefore, the difference between the sadhakas and the Brajavasis is the time taken for us to align with Krishna's will. It takes time for us to align with Krishna's will because it takes time for us to accept Krishna's will. Whereas the Brajavasis instantly accept and align themselves. And therefore the gopis, without even a second's notice, are able to change their will to respond to Krishna's will. And that's basically the rasa dance, where we allow our will to dance in tune with Krishna's will, in total harmony, in perfect alignment. And therefore Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us to dance with our hands raised, where we come in front of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, Radha and Krishna, and we offer ourselves. My dear Lord, I want to be like the Vrajavasis. I want to dance as per your will without offering any resistance. All I want is simply for you to accept my service. And therefore, the Sankirtan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has a very deep philosophical significance aligned with the mood of Vrindavan, where Krishna is captured. Krishna is captured to the extent the soul completely surrenders their own independent, opinionated will and surrenders to Krishna's will as quickly, as perfectly, as seamlessly as possible. And when a group of such people come together, raise their arms, and express their intention to surrender their will to Krishna's will, that basically becomes Sankirtan. Aiche prema, aiche nritya, aiche haridhvani, kaha nahi dekhi aiche, kaha nahi shuni. Prataprudra Maharaj says, I have never seen such music, such dance, such effulgence, such power in Kirtan. What is this? Bhattacharya kohe ei madhura vachan, Chaitanya srishti ei prema sankirtan. This is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Prema Sankirtan, which he has brought from the spiritual world, where just by participating in this Kirtan, within the first 10 seconds, he is giving any ignorant soul entrance into the highest platform of Vrindavan, where Krishna's heart is captured by the total submission and surrender of the Brajavasis. So we may not immediately have that transformation, but we are expressing our intention. And therefore, this is a platform which is free from the negotiation of material world, where every transaction is a business-like transaction. Bahuparishrama chandana remuna anila ananda badila mane dukkhana ganila, where we keep account of every austerity we do. We keep account of whatever pains we have taken to ultimately score a point. Vrindavan is a place where every soul is giving themselves selflessly, helplessly, effortlessly, seamlessly to Krishna in an unlimited fashion. Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan. He was sitting in his room. The doors were open. Suddenly, a monkey entered, which is quite common in Vrindavan. It was always common. Now it has become too much common because of the increase in the population. So the monkey picked up Srila Prabhupada's shoe and ran outside and jumped on top of a tree and sat there. So a couple of devotees, they took some sticks and chased the monkey, and they were showing the stick to the monkey. Prabhupada came out and started laughing. He said, "That's not how you negotiate with the monkey." Prabhupada brought a banana, showed it to the monkey. Now the monkey was interested. The monkey brings the shoe in front of Prabhupada like this. Prabhupada brings the banana up further. The monkey brings the shoe further down. Then Prabhupada takes the banana further closer. Monkey plucks the banana from Prabhupada's hand and keeps the shoe also. And Prabhupada says, just see how expert he is in negotiation. And then the monkey takes Prabhupada's shoes, bites it a little bit and throws it down because he found what he wanted, the banana. Of course, now in 2025, the monkeys in Vrindavan want fruity, not banana. They have evolved. So, Srila Prabhupada, he then made a point that even animals know how to do the basic things. But human life is meant for something pristine, something sublime. And that is the whole process of bhakti, where we purify our intention. Na tathahi agavan rajan puye tatapa adibi yatha krishnarpita prana tat purusha nishevaya. Beautiful verse from the 6th canto, where Shukadeva Goswami says, when the heart is filled with sinful tendencies, aghavan rajan puyet, how do you purify that sinful tendencies within the heart? Yatha krishnarpita prana, find a devotee of Krishna who has offered his life to Krishna. Krishna arpita prana. Why the word prana is used? Because the prana cannot be out of beat with the body. The prana is there within the body. The prana has to be perfectly in harmony. Then only life can exist. So therefore, Krishna arpita prana means we offer our will, our heart to Krishna with total surrender. We accept Krishna, Krishna's will, Vaishnava's will as our will. Kuladhi devata more madan mohan jar sevak raghunath rupa sanatan. Kaviraj Goswami says, my life and soul is Madan Mohan. My life and soul is their representative, Roop and Sanatan. And life and soul prana means that whatever is the will of Madan Mohan, that will be the will of their sevaks. And I want to serve such personalities. By doing that only, the sinful tendencies get transformed gradually. And that's the whole idea of sadhana bhakti. Srila Prabhupada was on a morning walk and some devotees were walking with Prabhupada. There was one devotee who was, little behind, and a dog suddenly started chasing this devotee. And this devotee turned around and tried to shoo the dog away. But the dog was big, huge, and he started attacking him with greater force. So this devotee started shouting, Prabhupada, save me, save me. And he came running towards Srila Prabhupada. All the devotees turned around. Prabhupada turned around and they saw this, unique scene that this devotee is running and his dhoti is flying in all direction and the dog is chasing him. And Prabhupada sized up the situation, crouched a little bit, picked up his stick right above his head, looked straight into the dog's eyes and said loudly, Hut! And this American dog had never heard a desi gali like this. So the dog sat down with tail between his legs. And the devotees were even more impressed that Prabhupada can control dog also. And then 2 years later, this devotee was serving Prabhupada in Jaipur and making rotis for Prabhupada. A monkey entered through the window. And this devotee thought, I know the formula. He picked up the rolling pin with which he was making the roti and showed to the monkey. And he said, Hut! The monkey picked up a big vessel and hit him back. He came running to Srila Prabhupada and he said, I did the same thing. It did not work. Prabhupada said, you saw, but you did not learn. So externally, devotional service may appear very simple. And Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness is simple but not easy. And therefore one has to have the patience to follow through and practice this process and experience what it means to align one's desires with the will of Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Brahmaji himself went through that challenge and he questioned the supremacy of Krishna, and now in his prayers he is expressing his regret and he says, Aho bhagyam nanda gopa vrajaukasam yanamitram paramanandam purna brahma sanatanam. The Brajavasis are so fortunate that Krishna is playing with them as if he is their family member, because they have totally surrendered themselves to Krishna. When Yashodama is trying to tie up Krishna, Damodar, again and again, Shukadeva Goswami captures that scene and zooms in and he says, Somatu svinna gatraya visrishta kabarasraja drishtva parishramama Krishna kripayasit swabandhane. Yashoda Mai, she was constantly trying to tie up Krishna with so many ropes. And because of that effort, her entire body from head to toe was filled with perspiration. Somatu svinna gatraya, and flowers from her hair were falling to the ground. Visrishta kabarasraja. And when Krishna saw that, drishtva parishramam Krishna, seeing that parishramam. Shramam means effort. Pari means special effort. Pari means 360 degree. When you say parikrama, Parikrama means when you walk around 360 degree. So shrama means effort. Parishrama means if one effort fails, we immediately start the next effort. The next effort fails, you start the next effort. There is a seamless chain of efforts without stopping. So, therefore, Srila Prabhupada wanted all of us to practice our sadhana bhakti with that kind of consistency. And so, intensity in sadhana, consistency in seva, and sensitivity in dealing with sevaks is what is required in the long run to help us come closer to Krishna through sadhana. One college student was challenging me that in ISKCON you people keep telling us chant 16 rounds, 16 rounds. Where in Bhagavad Gita Krishna says to Arjuna, chant 16 rounds? Is there any shloka? On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, did Krishna ever ask Arjuna, have you finished your rounds? Did Arjuna ever tell Krishna, my dear Lord, take my chariot behind that tree, 4 rounds remaining? So from where you got this concept of 16 rounds? We are already in tension because of so many deadlines, so many numbers here and there. Here also, numbers. I come to temple to relax. I don't want these targets. I'm fed up with targets. I just want to relax. Come to temple, do bhajan, chant. When you like, chant. I said, okay, when do you like chant? He said, never. That's why we need a minimum to take you beyond that kind of moodiness and make you business-like in your sadhana. That is called Vyavasaya Atmika Buddhi. Krishna has taken Vyavasaya, which means business, Buddhi, which means intelligence, business-like professionalism. In between he has inserted one word, Atmika. Apply the business-like professionalism to your spiritual life, which basically means you have to be consistent in what you do. And therefore, when Yashoda Mai was trying to bind Krishna, Krishna was pleased with her effort. Drishtva parishramam Krishna. And so the Acharyas explained the 2 fingers represent the devotee's efforts and then Krishna's reciprocation. And finally, Krishna was bound. And when Krishna was bound, Balaram came and started making fun of Krishna. Hey, what is this, Krishna? You are bound like this. This is not good. You are a criminal. And Balaramji looked at Krishna and said, hey, you are elder brother. You are supposed to free me, release me. You are supposed to fight the injustice going on in Braj. Innocent person is being punished like this. Today I am punished, tomorrow you will be punished. Balaramji, oh, you are right, you are right. Who punished you? Who punished you? Krishna said, Yashoda Mai, go and get me released from this. So Balaramji enters and shouts at the top of his lungs, who tied up Krishna? Who tied up Krishna? Yashoda Mai comes out with a stick. She says, I have bound Krishna. What will you do? And Balaramji says, do you know who is Krishna? Yashoda says, who is Krishna? Balaram, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ram, Narsingh, Vaman, all the avatars come from him. Yashoda Mai looks at Balaram and says, who are you then? Balaramji says, I am the first expansion of Krishna. From me, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Anuruddha, the avatars all come from me. Yashoda Mai picks up her stick, looks at Balaram and says, all avatars had to be born in my house only or what? If you make one more argument, I'll bind you next to Krishna. So Balaramji goes out and looks at Krishna and he says, I tried, but I failed. Because Yashoda Mai had bound up Krishna with her Vatsalya, with her pure love. And therefore, the essence of this pastime is concluded by Shukadeva Goswami, and he says, Evam sandarshita yanga harina bhritya vashyata. To demonstrate this principle that in Braj Bhumi, in Vrindavan, Krishna is captured and conquered by his devotees' love. Svavashenapi Krishnena yasyedam seshwaram vashe. Krishna cannot be conquered and controlled even by the 330 million gods, but he is conquered by his devotees' love. Nayam sukhapo bhagavan dehinam gopika suta jnaninam chatma bhutanam yatha bhakti matam iha. Krishna cannot be conquered by the jnanis, by the yogis, by the karmis. Krishna can only be conquered by pure devotion. And that's what is demonstrated through this pastime. And Yashodama is glorified by Shukadeva Goswami that Krishna gave such a privilege to Yashodamai which he did not give to his own son Brahmaji. He did not give to his own wife, which is Lakshmi Devi. Nemam virincho na bhavo na shrir api anga samshraya. Lakshmi Devi is constantly connected to the Lord's chest. Even she was not given this privilege. What was that? Prasadele bhire gopi yat yat prapya vimuktidat. She was given the privilege of being Krishna's mother and nourish Krishna and feed Krishna. When Krishna appears and performs his childhood pastimes in Vrindavan just for 11 years, once in the entire Brahma's span. So that is such a rare privilege, and therefore that is glorified by Shukadeva Goswami like this. So this whole idea of Krishna in Vrindavan is brought forward in a very practical way for us by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains to us to approach Krishna in Vrindavan directly is very difficult because there are offenses which are considered. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shows us the way by which we can actually approach Vrindavan and conquer Krishna in the practical sense of how should we deal in the devotee association Sangha so that we actually experience the same mood of Braj as we are hearing in the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya says, Anyera hridayaman mora mana Vrindavan mane vane eka kori jani. For others, their mind will be different from Vrindavan, but my mind is non-different from Vrindavan. And as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is dancing in Rath Yatra, and the beautiful deities of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra represent this very principle, how Krishna is conquered, captured, transformed, affected, touched by his devotees' love. Just by hearing about the Brajavasis' love, Krishna, Balram and Subhadra transformed themselves into this form, and they eternally appear in this form. And whenever we have darshan of this beautiful form of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, it is underscoring a very important point, the power of love, how it captures the Lord's heart. It demonstrates the love of Vrindavan. Braja Prem is what comes out of the beautiful darshan of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. And in the Rath Yatra, every year, for 18 years, Lord Chaitanya would be dancing in front of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. And he would be chanting various verses in the mood of Srimati Radharani. Vrindavana Govardhan Jamuna Pulinavan Sei Kunje Rasadi Kalila Sei Brajer Brajajan Mata Pita Bandhugan Bada Chitra Kemane Pasarila. O Krishna, how you have forgotten Vrindavan, Govardhan, Yamuna, the 12 forests. You have forgotten the Brajavasis, you have forgotten your father, you have forgotten your mother. How is it possible? Bada Chitra, it is astonishing that someone who gave themselves totally in love to you, how you've forgotten them. And in this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would always be in that mood of remembrance of Brajabhumi. And so, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, many acharyas question why he had to take sannyas. Because when Krishna was performing pastimes in Vrindavan, and the gopis gave everything to him, Pati Sutanvayat Bhratar Bandhavat Ati Vilangyate, gave their entire families, they gave their reputation, everything they offered, and they never had any relationship with anyone else. Apart from Krishna, they never gave their heart to anyone else, even after Krishna left Vrindavan. And therefore the acharyas say, the gopis' love for Krishna was Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Ekeha, one-pointed. But Krishna left Vrindavan, but he went to Mathura, he went to Dwarka. Krishna's love was Bahushakahi Anantascha. He continued to have relationship with many others, and that was making him feel guilty. To the extent the gopis were one-pointed in sacrificing everything for me, I could not reciprocate. And Krishna also says, Na parayeham nirvajya samyujam. I cannot repay this debt in this particular avatar. So in order to repay that loan, that debt of love, Krishna, when he appears as Lord Chaitanya, decides that just like the gopis gave up their family, gave up their occupation, gave up their profession, gave up their other relationship, I also will give up and take sannyas and wear the saffron cloth which represents renunciation. And so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes sannyas. Paratma nishtha matra vesha dharan mukunda sevai hoy samsara taran. And the only reason Lord Chaitanya takes sannyas is so that he can go to Brajabhumi, Vrindavan and settle there for life. That's the original purpose of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking sannyas. That was his intense, deep greed and desire. He had no other reason to take sannyas. But then Nityanand Prabhu directs him via some cowherd boy towards Shantipur. And Lord Chaitanya comes to Shantipur, he looks at Ganga and he asks Nityananda, is this Yamuna? And Nityananda nods his head. And Lord Chaitanya jumps into Ganga thinking it is Yamuna. He sees Advaita Acharya. He says, oh Advaita, you are in Vrindavan. And Advaita says, this is Shantipur. And this is not Yamuna, this is Ganga. And Lord Chaitanya looks at Nityananda and says, hey, you have cheated me. This is not good. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spends time in Shantipur. Because Nityanand Prabhu knew if Lord Chaitanya doesn't return back, all the Navadvip Vasis will give up their lives. And there, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is with his mother, Shachi Mata, Kandiya kohe Shachi Bachare Nimai, Vishwarupa Samana Korihani Thurai. She says, my dear Nimai, you cannot behave like Vishwarup, where he gave up everything and never showed his face again. And Lord Chaitanya says, my mother, this body is yours. Whatever you tell me to do, I will do. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agrees that I will just do whatever you say and I will just stay in Jagannath Puri. And at that point, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decides to change his plan. Tabe e yukti bhala mora manalai nilachale or dui karya hoy. If I stay in Nilachal, both the functions are taken care. My renunciation is protected and your feelings are protected because Vrindavan is too far. And Navadvip, if I stay, people will criticize. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began his renounced order life by demonstrating what is the ultimate summit of renunciation. It is to compromise on our plans, to compromise on our desires, and adjust and be flexible to the desires of the devotees. And that is the mood of Braj. That is the mood of Vrindavan, where my plans and my desires should be constantly moving to accommodate Krishna's and devotees' desires. And therefore, here that is what is described. Apanara dukkha sukha taha nahi gani tara jai sukha taha nija sukha mani. Kaviraj Goswami says, it was not just Lord Chaitanya. Shachi Mata also did not consider her own sukha and dukkha. She only considered Lord Chaitanya's sukha. So this is the Vaishnav community where each devotee is concerned with the other devotee's pleasure and pain and reciprocates accordingly. And so the Kaviraj Goswami glorifies Advaita Acharya and he says, Acharya re Shraddha Bhakti Gruha Sampadhane Sakala Safala Hoila Prabhuraradhane. That whether one is a grahastha or a renunciant like Lord Chaitanya, the mood in the community has to be how I can offer my Shraddha, faith, bhakti, devotion, griha, house, sampat, my property and prosperity, dhan, my wealth, everything as a means for worshipping the Lord and the devotees. Sakala safala hoila prabhur aradhane. And this is the mood by which the exact experience of Vrindavan can actually be brought. Srila Prabhupada, he was trying his best to spread Krishna consciousness in Bharat in the 50s, 60s. He gave the book, Easy Journey to Other Planets to one of his friends. And his friend said, what will I get by reading this? And Prabhupada said, you'll go back home, back to Godhead. And his friend said, after going back to Godhead, can I come back to Jhansi? And Prabhupada said, no, that's not possible. He said, I don't want this. So Srila Prabhupada was flexible and he just went along with whoever was favorable. And so finally Srila Prabhupada goes to America, and then all these wonderful devotees come in contact with Srila Prabhupada, and then Prabhupada brings them back to India in the 1970-71 period. And then Shyam Sundar Prabhu, he tells this story that for some reason he was, going to be sent to jail for something. And he was very embarrassed. He came to Srila Prabhupada and he said, Srila Prabhupada, because of some reason I may have to go to jail. Prabhupada immediately said, Krishna was born in jail. And then Prabhupada said, why you have to go to jail? He said, Prabhupada, I was dealing with drugs or something. Prabhupada said, I was also dealing with drugs. Prayag pharmacy. And he felt very accepted, not rejected. And then Prabhupada said, you just continue chanting, they'll release you. And actually within a few months, he was released from the jail. And even till date, he had no idea how it became possible. Otherwise, he would have been inside till at least 1972-73. And then Prabhupada brought him to India along with other devotees, Yaduvar Prabhu, Vishaka Devi, everybody was there. And then 1971 Cross Maidan, when he was planning how to organize this, he had never, driven a car in India. He got some life members' car. He was driving through Kalba Devi market. For those of you who know Mumbai, Kalba Devi market means, you have to create your own traffic rules. So he was driving in the midst of the Kalba Devi market, and suddenly, as he was driving, someone came right in front of him, the car hit him and the guy fell on the ground. A crowd surrounded the car. And Shyam Sundar Prabhu thought, now they'll bury me inside. and people looked inside the car, looked at Shyamsundar Prabhu. Immediately, they got on the guy who was hit and fell on the ground, picked him up, started beating him up. So he got even more bewildered. What's going on? I made the mistake. Why are they beating him up? Then he thought, maybe in India, they begin from there. And then after some time, the crowd parted and they said, go ahead, please go. And he said, hey, I made the mistake. Why did he get beaten up? And one man who spoke English, he said, you are a devotee of Krishna. How dare he disturb Krishna's devotee? Therefore we beat him up. And he thought, my God, here, even when you are dressed as a Krishna's devotee, there is such high expectation. And Srila Prabhupada just brought these devotees, engaged them in spreading Krishna consciousness. And because of that, Krishna consciousness was established in India. Most of us, we are from India. We never heard of Mayapur. We never been to Vrindavan. We never heard of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It was these American and European disciples of Srila Prabhupada who assisted Srila Prabhupada in translating all of these books in the English language, publishing it within 2 months. And whenever I give lecture at LA, at Rukmini Dwarkadish temple, I tell them, I am able to share Chaitanya Charitamrita because you helped Srila Prabhupada publish this in 2 months of time, and that's how this is possible. Otherwise, it's not possible. Vaisheshika Prabhu. And most people don't know that in 1977, when Srila Prabhupada departed, ISKCON had 108 temples. There were only 5 temples in India: Hyderabad, Mumbai, Vrindavan, Kolkata, Mayapur. And there were hardly 20 to 30 Indian disciples. More than 5,500 were Western disciples. So actually, the whole movement began in the West, flourished in the West, and now it's time to help again ISKCON re-establish its glory in the Western population. So that's why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrates here the principle of flexibility. And now Lord Chaitanya, he ultimately goes to Puri. And when he reaches Puri, he transforms Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and he tells the devotees, I want to go to Vrindavan. I want to go to South India. So devotees don't give him blessings. And finally, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gets the blessings of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, of Nityananda. And they say, you can't go alone, take an assistant with you. Lord Chaitanya accepts that also. Again, Lord Chaitanya is demonstrating dependence on the will of the devotees. He could have said, hey, who are you to tell me? I am going. But Lord Chaitanya waited. And then, Agyamalapaya harshe namaskara kori, anande dakshina deshe chale gaurahari. When they got that blessings of the devotees, then he went to South India. And Lord Chaitanya humbly folds his hands to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and he says, Ghare Krishna bhaji more kora ashirvade, nilachale asijena tomara prasade. Please give me blessings that I return back to Puri by your grace, by your divine grace. Prabhupada says, hey, here is a grahastha, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Lord Chaitanya is a sannyasi. He is seeking blessings as a sannyasi of a grahastha. What is this? And then Prabhupada says, Lord Chaitanya has given anyone who worships Krishna at home, practices the process of Krishna consciousness at home, the complete rights and the authority to attain pure devotional service to the extent of even blessing the sannyasi. And therefore, this was the mission Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established. So he goes to South India with the blessings of the devotees, comes back to Puri in 1512. After coming back, immediately Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is surrounded by these devotees. And Lord Chaitanya glorifies these devotees. Aisaba Vaishnava Ei Kshetrera Bhushan Ekanta Bhave Chinte Sabe Tomara Charan. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says the quality of all these devotees in Puri is they are the ornaments of this dham. And what makes them special? They are constantly thinking about your lotus feet, meditating on your lotus feet. So Lord Chaitanya says, I want to go to Vrindavan. And the devotee says, no, Rath Yatra is coming, wait. And then they postpone further to the next festival, then to Diwali and to Dole Yatra, this, that. So they continue postponing for 2 years. And Kaviraj Goswami says, Yadyapi swatantra prabhu nahe nivaran, bhakta ichha vina prabhu na kore gaman. Lord Chaitanya was fully independent and nobody could have stopped him. But without devotees' blessings, you cannot enter Vrindavan. Bhakta ichha vina prabhu no kore gaman. He postponed and postponed till the devotees finally gave blessings. Again, Lord Chaitanya demonstrates flexibility in his plans, willingness to adjust his plan, edit his plans, postpone his plans, accommodate others' desires. And then when he starts towards Vrindavan, his plan is to go via Bengal. And all the devotees from Puri are with him, including Gadadhar Pandit. When Lord Chaitanya visits Jajpur, he looks at Gadadhar Pandit and he says, you have taken vow not to leave Jagannath Puri. Your service is to Tota Gopinath. A devotee has only 2 properties, his vow and his seva. Vrata and seva. If you give up both, what is the point? Go back. And so, it is described here, it was so difficult for Gadadhar Pandit, who is Srimati Radharani. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Gadadhar Pandit, go back to Puri. And Gadadhar Pandit also demonstrates the mood of Vrindavan. Adjust my plans. Prabhu lagi dharma karma chhade bhaktagan. People were willing to give up their dharma and karma just for the Lord. Prabhu lagi dharma karma chhade bhaktagan. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not tolerate people giving up their swadharma, their duty, their seva. Na hoye sahan. He found it intolerable. So he sent Gadadhar Pandit back. Now Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finally comes to Bengal and he meets Rup and Sanatan, delivers them in Ramakeli. And he says, I initiate you and I give you the name Rup and Sanatan. As soon as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu initiates Rup and Sanatan, Sanatan Goswami looks at millions of people who are following Lord Chaitanya and he requests Lord Chaitanya, my dear Lord, I know you are traveling to Vrindavan from here, from Bengal, but I have a request. Durgama durlabha sei nirjana Vrindavan, ekaki jai baki ma sange ekajan. Vrindavan is a place of contemplation, meditation. You are surrounded by millions of people who may not be in the right mood. Please do not go to Vrindavan with such crowds. It is the first meeting and Sanatan Goswami has just been initiated and disciple is giving suggestion to Guru. And the suggestion is of such nature that Lord Chaitanya has been trying for 4 years to go to Vrindavan. From 1510, it is now 1514. And Sanatan Goswami is saying, please don't go this way. Change your plan. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, again demonstrating that the mood of Braj, the mood of Vrindavan is constant movement in our plans and desires, comes back to Puri. When he comes back to Puri, Gadadhar Pandit is surprised. You are back? And Lord Chaitanya says, I broke your heart, Gadadhar Pandit. And because I did not get your blessings, Krishna did not allow me to enter into Vrindavan. And Gadadhar didn't say, yeah, you got it now. Now I can come with you. He says, no. Wherever you are, my dear Lord, that is where Yamuna is, that is where Vrindavan is. And then again, this was like just before Rath Yatra of 1515, and for the 4 months of Chaturmas, Lord Chaitanya stayed. And then again he pleads with the devotees, allow me to go to Vrindavan. Now the devotees say, please, you take one more associate with you. And Lord Chaitanya says, Baba, enough of associates. Last time I took this Kal Krishna Das as my servant, I had to become his servant and save him from falling into Maya. I don't want. They says, no, you must take Swarup Kahe Ei Balabhadra Bhattacharya Tomate Susnigdha Bada Pandit Sadhu Arya. This boy is a young person. So Balabhadra Bhattacharya, he has all the 4 characteristics of an ideal disciple. He has the intimacy for his master. He has the right intention. He has clarity in intelligence. And his integrity is also perfect. And therefore, you take him along with you. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very hesitant, because Lord Chaitanya says, I want a new person, but at the same time I want him to be self-controlled. That's not easy, because it takes time before transformation actually happens. Like Srila Prabhupada was with a devotee who was putting stamps on envelopes and using his saliva. And Prabhupada became upset. He said, this is muchi. You cannot use your saliva. You should use water in a cup. And he started taking some water in a cup and started putting the stamps. And then all the stamps were done. Only one stamp remained, but water in the cup was over. He looked around, nobody was there. And he thought, who will get up and go water just for one stamp? Just for putting one last stamp, I have my old formula, which is using my saliva. And then he looked left, he looked right, he looked in front, doors were all closed, nobody was there. He stuck out his tongue and placed the stamp on his tongue. The door opened and Prabhupada was standing there. And Prabhupada said, I told you not to do this. He said, I didn't know you're going to come now. So it takes a long time for habits to transform. So Kal Krishna Das got trapped by, sense gratification, and Balabhadra Bhattacharya got trapped by mental speculation. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu surrendered and took him along with him, in spite of the fact that he didn't want. And after going to Vrindavan, finally Lord Chaitanya enters into Vrindavan through Jharikanda forest. And in Jharikanda forest, he embraces Balabhadra Bhattacharya and glorifies him, and he says, Kripara samudra dina hine dayamoy, Krishna kripa vina kona sukha nahi hoy. Oh Balabhadra Bhattacharya, as we are entering Vrindavan, you should know the formula for how to enter Vrindavan and how to capture Krishna in Vrindavan. When we accept Krishna's plan as our plan, when there is perfect alignment between Krishna's plan and my plan, that is what is known as happiness. Acceptance of Krishna's plan. And therefore, I am so grateful that you brought me and taking me to Vrindavan. But after going to Vrindavan, the story turns. In 2 months, Lord Chaitanya's ecstasy is growing every day, but Balabhadra Bhattacharya's anxiety is growing, because people are coming and giving so many invitations to invite Lord Chaitanya. Balabhadra Bhattacharya can't handle it. So he approaches Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one day and he says, Sahitena pari ami loker gadabadi nimantrana lagi loke karahuda hudi. There is such competition to invite you, my dear Lord. I can't handle people's requests. You leave, Akurur Ghat in the morning, go to Imletala and you are chanting peacefully all day. But you know what happens to me? Lord Chaitanya says, what? And Balabhadra Bhattacharya says, Pratah kala lok aise tomare na paye, tomare na paye lok mora matha khaye. People come in the morning searching for you. When they can't find you, they eat my head. Udvigna hoila prana sohite na pari. I'm in so much of anxiety. I can't stay in Vrindavan. And I don't want you also to stay in Vrindavan. Let us leave Vrindavan. Just imagine, after 6 years, Lord Chaitanya is finally in Vrindavan. And the person he didn't want to bring, he was imposed upon him by the devotees. He is telling, I am disturbed, we should not stay in Vrindavan. Lord Chaitanya could have told him, you leave, Baba. If you are disturbed, you go. I never wanted to bring you in the first place. Who are you to tell me to change my plan? Yadyapi Vrindavan tyage nahi prabhurman, bhakta ichha purite kohe madhur vachan. Lord Chaitanya did not have desire to leave Vrindavan, but to fulfill his devotees' ichha, desire. He says, Lord Chaitanya tells Balabhadra Bhattacharya, Tumi amai ani dekhaila Vrindavan, eirina ami narite koribe shodhan. I am grateful to you, Balabhadra Bhattacharya, that you brought me and showed me Vrindavan. I can never repay that debt to you. And saying like this, Lord Chaitanya left Vrindavan, although his desire was to stay on in Vrindavan. And that's the essence of how to approach Vrindavan, demonstrated by Lord Chaitanya himself. It's not a cheap thing. It's not an overnight thing. It's not something which we can, experience just by some intellectual stimulation. And therefore, what Srila Prabhupada has given us is the safest path, the sure short path, by being the servant of the devotees in this beautiful society of ISKCON. We will actually experience what Krishna experiences in Vrindavan. The place where Krishna is conquered can only be experienced when we allow ourselves to be conquered by the devotees' love, by the devotees' desires, by the devotees' plans, and then drop by drop the nectar of what Vrindavan Dham is will be revealed gradually by the grace of the Guru Parampara, by the grace of Srila Prabhupada. It cannot be done artificially. So I'm very grateful, Maharaj, for allowing me to speak on this wonderful topic of Vrindavan. And as we speak today, Vrindavan is on the verge of becoming a city. More and more people are buying flats in Vrindavan. Property, every week I get calls from people. What do you think, Prabhu? Should I buy property in Vrindavan, real estate in Vrindavan? This flat is available, that flat is available. So we have to realize the seriousness of what Brajbhumi Vrindavan Dham is. And I want to express my special gratitude from the bottom of my heart to Srila Prabhupada's disciples, all of them who are here present with us, Vaisheshika Prabhu, Nirakula Mataji, Yaduvara Prabhu, and Vishaka Devi, Krupamaya Prabhu, and Mataji, all of them who have dedicated decades of their lives in practice of Krishna consciousness because of their sterling example in Srila Prabhupada's movement. Future generations get the perfect example and the inspiration to practice this process and know that whatever is described by Srila Prabhupada in these books actually makes sense. And therefore, it's very important for us to always respect, honor, and follow the senior Vaishnavas and know that we have always got to remain humble and submissive to the desires of such Vaishnavas, even though sometimes we may find it difficult to understand and apply it in our lives, but there is no other option. If you look at the way Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is allowing his plans to be changed, his plans to be transformed, his desires to be overridden by the desires of the devotees. That is the essence of Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.